what is the end of the age in Matthew 24, part 2. So at the end of the last video, I left off saying Jesus was just about to talk about Daniel 9 and linking his coming, and is talking about the temple destruction with the old prophecy from Daniel. So when you see the desolating sacrilege standing in the holy place, then you must flee to the mountains of Judea. Now, with Matthew talking to a Jewish audience, they will have immediately understood that. And even in Matthew's gospel, in little brackets, it says, let the reader understand, clearly implying that the people that he was originally writing to would know this reference. Whereas in Luke 21, Luke writing more Gentile audience, he doesn't speak in Old Testament imagery in a way that you need to understand that background. So he sort of explains it in a very clear way and simply says, when you see Jerusalem surrounded by armies, you know its desolation has come. So those in Judea must flee to the mountains. So it's clearly a parallel verse of the one in Matthew 24. So just from these two verses, we can see that Matthew 24 is talking about a time when Jerusalem is going to be surrounded by armies and about to be destroyed. And this is the desolating sacrilege coming upon the holy place, which is Jerusalem, and more specifically, the temple. Jesus then sort of rounds up with a bit more apocalyptic imagery, again from Daniel, talking about him coming in the clouds with great glory and power, and everyone will mourn when this happens. So that's a reference to Daniel 7. So this whole section is a combination of Daniel 7 and 9. And a little link to that later in Matthew 26, when Jesus before the council and the high priest, and they ask him if he's the Messiah, and he goes, I am, and then says, you will then see me coming in the clouds with glory, referencing Daniel, and all the Jewish council gets really mad about that. I think he's blaspheming, because again, like as a sort of sidebar, they knew that that was him references his divinity as well, not just stating something about an old prophecy and messiahship. Towards the end of this chapter, Jesus sees a fig tree and he uses that as a symbol to say, when you see the signs, you know that these things are near, and then concludes by saying that famously, maybe misused verse, that this generation will not pass until these things have happened, which to a normal reading, you would know that is a very solid timeline of a period of at least 40 years, which incidentally is how long it took until 70 AD when the temple was destroyed. This came to pass.